O'clock here in Cleveland, Ohio. I am so sorry you're seeing most of my steering wheel. I'm going to flip you over here. There you go. Yes, I'm in the Starbucks parking lot because I'm waiting to go to my apprenticeship, so I'll try not to sell that to you. But we're going to talk about Michael Tait. We have to talk about Michael Tait. So important. And I wanted to make this earlier, and I apologize. And yes, I'm wearing my sunglasses because I'm facing the sun, but it's warm. And in my car right now, it is 10 degrees. 10 degrees. The wind chill is below 10 degrees. I don't know what it is, but it is definitely lower than 10. All right, so let's talk about Michael Tait. Michael Tait announced recently that he was leaving the Newsboys, and he didn't say exactly why, but he said that he was going to uh, leave and depart the band, the Newsboys. Well, Newsboys has been around since the early 90s, and if I'm not mistaken, they made music in 89, if I'm correct. You have to look at your Spotify and see what that first album was. It might have been that or really early in the 90s. But the Newsboys have been around for many, many years. They started with, I believe, a guy named John James, and then Peter Fuller took over as the lead singer and really had the Newsboys take off, right? Peter Fuller is really known for the song Breakfast, as well as a bunch of other Newsboys songs that, like the Worship album was really big, like Adoration, I believe. There's a song called Joy that they were really big for. Um, but Peter really took the band to a really, really big pinnacle. And when he left, people were, you know, discussing amongst themselves who's going to take over for his job because the rest of the band wanted to keep going. And they kind of, I wouldn't say took a hiatus, but they took a small break while they searched for their lead singer. And they asked no other than Michael Tait. Michael Tait, of course, was famous at the time for his stint in the group DC Talk. DC Talk was Michael Tait, Toby Mac, and Kevin Max. And of course, they're famous for Jesus Freak, the album Jesus Freak and the song Jesus Freak. Of course, before that was Free at Last. That was a very big hit for DC Talk as well. But DC Talk really got famous because of Jesus Freak. And Michael's vocals, I mean, they're incomparable. And of course, when you pair them up with Kevin and Toby, it's technically a super group because these guys can certainly, you know, go solo, and they did. And for a time, Kevin was doing okay, and then kind of teetered off. Then Toby Mac and Michael Tait kind of went their own way. Michael Tait was able to get solo for a little bit, and then that's when he switched to full-time lead singer as the Newsboys. So a little CCM lesson for their music lesson there, history lesson. Um, and I'm just sad because that is my childhood. DC Talk and the Newsboys, Audio Adrenaline, Rebecca St. James, all these people that really shaped my, um, I guess, musical listening experience back in the 90s. Of course, that was replaced somewhat by Switchfoot, Skillet, then Hillsong United, and now it's Elevation, Brandon Lake, and Maverick City, and all that stuff. It's interesting to see how CCM has kind of changed over the years. It was very evangelical based in the sense of evangelism, not necessarily the theology of evangelicalism, but just it was evangelizing people. It wasn't only meant for the church. CCM was meant to share the gospel with people that weren't really acquainted with church, didn't want to step foot into a church, and you could pass along an Audio Adrenaline CD. Remember CDs, okay, in the 90s, Audio Adrenaline CD, DC Talk CD, and even Switchfoot at the time in like early 2000s. And people would listen to it because it was like, this is good music. I want to listen to it. It would be the same. It would be the equivalent of us giving somebody, hey, you got to stream the song from Lauren Daigle because Lauren Daigle is really that good. You don't have to be a believer to listen to her. She is so good. Michael Tait is that to me. And not just because he's an awesome dude, but he has the talent. He really does have talent. And to see him say sayonara to the Newsboys was just really sad because I know that it's going to leave big shoes to fill. It already has. So, um, a little story that I'll share with you. When I met Michael Tait, He and the Newsboys came to Cleveland. It was the Newsboys United tour. They were doing that tour right around the beginning of COVID, I think right before then. So we were able to go and see them. My brother and sister-in-law joined us, and at the time they said, "Hey, if you join uh, our sponsor this evening, which was Child Fund, if you sponsor a child, you can get into a drawing to go to the VIP section." Okay, so we're thinking, well, that'd be cool, but we still want to like serve, at the same time. And I just realized that I'm on Bluetooth, so I'm so sorry if my voice sounds so bad. It is what it is, you guys. But if you can't hear me, please tell me because that would be really frustrating. All that to say, Michael Tait and the whole band, we were able to meet that night. And my wife at the time was wearing a red pea coat, and Michael looked at her right before she kind of crossed over to where he was at the table where they were signing stuff. And he said, "The Lady in Red," and it was the song. I'm not going to butcher it because obviously that was just a special moment for us. But he sang "The Lady in Red," just the phrase for that song, old timey song, to my wife, and it was just like so cool. You could see like she had such a cool moment there with Michael Tait. And uh, not an offense to the rest of the band or even DC Talk or other CCM artists, but this guy, he really has some sort of atmosphere to him where you're very congenial. He's very friendly when you're talking to him. He's self-deprecating also when you really listen to what he's saying. But he's a guy that definitely will leave big shoes to fill for the Newsboys. So I'm going to ask you a question, and maybe you guys know the answer to it. Number one, do you guys think Adam Agee is going to be the frontman for Newsboys? He is the guy that replaced Phil Joel technically because he plays bass for the band. Um, but do you really think that he's going to lead the band vocally? Or are they going to do what they did before and outsource to somebody else, maybe a lead singer that has shown a lot of prowess in the CCM industry? I don't know. I really can't answer that, and hopefully you can. I'm really just asking you. So, before I sign off, I just wanted to let you know my son is extremely sick, so just pray for him. We think it might be RSV. He sounds very croupy, cough and whatnot. So, just pray for him. He's not doing the greatest, but yesterday he kind of got a little bit better. He was his regular old self, but you could tell like every 20 minutes he's coughing a little bit. And I'm like, it's still there. So today my wife texted me and she said that, it's still lingering. He felt a little warm, didn't have a temperature, but, a little warm and lethargic kind of. So just pray that, he's not super sick. We don't have to take him to the doctor, but if we do, we will, it's just the way it is. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you. And guess what? We're living in the land of freedom once again with Donald Trump. We'll do another stream about that hopefully next week. But I can't wait to see what's going to come. A lot of unknown thoughts here. You have Michael Tait's absence of the Newsboys, and now you have Donald Trump in the White House again. So it's a really interesting time to be alive in America. So, hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, thank you so much. And check out the tagged shopping stuff that's on this stream. It is kind of cool, and it has to do with Michael Tait. So thank you, and have a great night. God bless.